Well, friends, good afternoon and greetings, everybody. Welcome to all of you who are here joining us online. Welcome to this full moon meditation meeting with the sun in the sign of Cancer. These monthly group meditations have been going on now for at least 9 decades. The fact that the group has persisted in maintaining a regular rhythm throughout all these years and generations means that every time we step into this work, we're stepping into a really well-established energetic pathway. Human minds approaching hierarchy and the plan in total synchronicity with the rhythm that hierarchy and all the forces of light use in their approach to humanity. And because this rhythm's become so well established, the work's now solidly embedded in the spiritual life of humanity and of hierarchy. And in this, we stand together with all the established cycles of approach to hierarchy, all that are part of religious and spiritual traditions. This full moon work is one of the unique contributions that Ageless Wisdom students are making to these traditions. We can sometimes forget the importance of the spiritual life of humanity, thinking of it perhaps as something that may have meaning privately for a very small section of the 8 billion plus human beings in incarnation at this time. Yet it is the quality and clarity of the spiritual thought of alignment and the care and attention given to it at any time in the evolutionary cycle that produces all the breakthroughs and ideas and thinking which mark all the great evolutionary leaps in human affairs. And we should remember that there's no way of measuring the numbers of people who are thinking deeply about spirituality and soul-oriented ethics. Even in our own community, even in the street where we live, we have no way of knowing the other deeper thinkers who are in our community. There is today a richness and a concentration in the spiritual life that's evident in countless writings, media reports, and online programs in all traditions. And it's so important that we acknowledge this, whether we find the spiritual richness in the communications from the Vatican and other major religious centers of learning, in the vast literature from thinkers in every tradition on media like Substack, from enlightened publishing houses and popular radio and television programs. If we look for it, we see this deeper thinking that shows us the sign of a spiritual life today that's as alive and electric as it has ever been. As the energies of Cancer condition this full moon period, it seems useful to ponder the keynote of building a lighted house. What does it mean to build such a house in ourselves and in our societies and in the world? What does it mean esoterically and exoterically? And how does our understanding of the energies of Cancer influence the way we observe the work of building a lighted house in humanity? And how does it affect where we focus our gaze as we look out on the world? Building a lighted house proceeds from the spiritual life of humanity in all its current richness and diversity. And it works with the resources of material that are what we are given in incarnation. The Second Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld, often used his public position and his sort of position in the media to draw attention to the role that thought, philosophy, and spirituality play in the work of shaping a new order in world affairs. His insights seem especially appropriate to our reflections this afternoon on the Cancer theme of building a lighted house. In a talk he gave in September 1953, Hammarskjöld reminded his listeners that all who are working to help the United Nations succeed need the sort of deep faith that's expressed in words from the Bhagavad Gita. Work with anxiety about results is far inferior to work without such anxiety in calm self-surrender. And he went on to refer to an insight from the classical Chinese collection of poetic philosophy, the Tao, where it said, and this is quoting from Hammarskjöld, that whoever wants to grip the world and shape it will fail, because the world is a spiritual thing that cannot be shaped. End of quote. Well, this seems to be the antithesis of everything that the UN does and was sort of doing at the time when it was establishing itself. Hammarskjöld reminded his audience that while the history of humanity is made by men and women, by individuals, by us, we, quote, partly make it blindly. No one, he said, can foresee with certainty what will emerge from the give and take of the forces at work in any age. And for that reason, history often seems to run its course beyond the reach of any man or nation. We cannot make the world as masters of a material thing, but, he said, we can influence the development of the world from within as a spiritual thing. As individuals and as groups, he said, we can put our influence to the best of our understanding and ability on the side of what we believe is right and true. And we can help in the movement towards those ends that inspire our lives and are shared by all people of goodwill, in terms very close to those of the Charter of the United Nations. Peace and freedom for all in a world of equal rights for all. That talk that he gave, the text of it is well worth looking at, and it's available. You can download it on the internet, and if you get a copy of this talk, there's a link to it shows you the link. This year's high-level political forum on sustainable development is about to begin in the UN buildings adjacent to the Lucis Trust offices here in New York. It will be the subject of a cycle of conferences visualization, and those who are participating in this energetic work will be receiving an email with more details. The annual forum at the UN, this high-level political forum, provides an opportunity to further think through the relationship between our energetic work designed to serve in the building of a lighted house and the inevitably flawed and compromised political efforts to facilitate a transformation of local, national, and global affairs around a vision of sustainable development. The forum begins next Tuesday, the 7th, and it ends on the following Wednesday, the 15th. And the cycle's visualization work begins tomorrow. Those who are interested and have not yet subscribed can find details in the Cycle of Conferences section of the World Goodwill website. Just need to go to World Goodwill, www.worldgoodwill.org/cycles, something like that. And there you'll see the visualization that's used. But for now, let's focus on the flow of cancer energies pouring into humanity. We're working right in the peak flow leading up to the time of the full moon. That's going to happen at 7:58 here in our time, in Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time. And so with this in mind, we'll extend the meditation a little beyond the usual 20 minutes with a period of silence following the lower interlude before we begin the stage of distribution with the sounding of the Great Invocation, and we'll do this just after 7:58. So basically, because of the timing of everything, we'll conclude the meditation just following on from the peak moment of the full moon. So the meeting will be a little longer this evening, just a little longer. But to begin, we can take a deep breath and imaginatively stand together as a unified field of lighted thought. a group mind, fused and standing together in the light of the keynote for Cancer. I build a lighted house and therein dwell. The souls of all are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Oh. Cancer is notable in the night sky for its diffused light. It's the dimmest of all the constellations in the zodiac. In ancient times, it used to be referred to as the dark sign. Its name, Cancer, is Latin for crab, symbolizing what Alice Bailey says in the Labors of Hercules, the liabilities of the incarnation process and the handicaps besetting the soul as it enters into the world of form and physical incarnation to travel along the path of evolution. The soul becomes lost, imprisoned in the material world, immersed in watery impulses of desire and instinct, and with a consciousness that has yet to be fully individualized, primarily identifying with a mass identity. Perhaps we might think of this today as a widespread national ideology, identifying with a widespread national ideology, or a common culture, or an economic class, or an ethnic group. And yet, with a private, undefined, mystical, and psychic sense of some sort of spiritual identity, some presence. The key word from the angle of form and personality for the early stages of development under Cancer captures this notion of an almost unconscious pull between two poles, two identities. The word is, let isolation be the rule, and yet the crowd exists. It's this psychic, largely unconscious, fluid, and instinctive relationship between spirit and matter, and the watery nature of the sign that makes it so difficult for the large masses of people who constitute the nations of the world to guide their affairs in any long-lasting pattern around values, principles, and spiritual laws. There's some sense of these principles, but it's vague and fluid, almost instinctive, and easily swamped by the immediate play of desires and emotions. The theme of a nation as a home is somehow unstable, fraught with undefined contradictions. It is an imprisonment for the soul, and the personality has not yet seen that the walls of this prison are in fact made out of its own sense of separation, its own sense of identity. And yet at the same time, the personality is unconsciously disturbed, knowing something's wrong, seeking some sort of ease with itself. Nations today, apart from a few exceptions, are not at ease with themselves, sensing a dichotomy and drawn into ideologies that seem to make sense of that dichotomy by imagining some simple policy or program or some charismatic leader resolving the lack of ease with the home, taking away the work that needs to be done by each and every single unit of consciousness. At another level, humanity as a species, alongside the nations that make up the species and the individuals that make up the nations, are clearly not at ease in their relations with the earth and the other kingdoms of nature. It's as if we're imprisoned in an environment of inherited cultures and social structures that contradict all our higher values, and as a result, largely imprisoned within a physical environment which has become, and we can see it's become, polluted, poisoned, and distressed. Only we as local and national communities can change that, but changing it requires a change in the very nature of the relationship between soul and personality, of communities and nations. And that requires a transformation in the orientation of large numbers of individuals, so that goodwill, the goodwill which is always present, might become a stronger presence and more of a priority in the personal life and the national life. This is what makes the Cancer keynote so meaningful, for there is a transformation occurring in the soul-personality relationship. More energy in humanity is going into shaping the world as a spiritual thing than has happened in recent decades. And this is where our work with the Cancer keynote can be so helpful. As a group, we're called to see the world in the light of the Cancer keynote. And each one of us needs to do this for ourselves and to find their own way, to ponder for ourselves, to really explore DK's teachings or any other teachings that a soul may have called us to, and to clarify our understanding of the role that the new group of world servers is playing today as it turns its attention to the work of shaping the world as a spiritual thing. To truly see the world in the light of the Cancer energies, we need to recognize the potency and strength of the discipleship path as reflected in the lives and work of the new group of world servers in the nations of the world. Cancer is largely conditioned by third-ray energies. And this can help us to understand why so much of the new group's approach to reshaping the world comes through plans, policies, and goals that are produced from the lower mind and have as their focus regulations that are designed to shape the world as if it were a material thing. The creative intelligence of the third ray can be characterized by an overstimulated busyness and speed that comes from the concrete rational mind and fails or blocks out deeper thought or an ability to approach the realm of ideas encountered through the abstract mind. This over-organized approach to planning and regulating behaviors can easily block out and simply not see the natural spirit of goodwill and not see it as a resource of such value. Yet as soul energies become a stronger presence in nations and groups, the natural, agile intelligence of the ray begins to be reoriented. so that it is able to serve, to use all of its creative intelligence, all of its organizing abilities of mind to serve the higher intuitive mind, leaving an openness to serendipity, as described so well by a co-worker May East in various presentations at Well Goodwill seminars and during Goodwill webinars. As intuitive perceptions begin to breathe more freely in the mind of the new group, the focus on Cancer energies in large collectives and groupings shifts. Instead of tending to reinforce isolation and separation, strong and wise, intelligent approaches to addressing the causes of a nation's problems begin to gain traction, so that the focus can shift up a notch towards work that actually builds a lighted house from inside out, works with ideas, works with dialogue, works with empathy and understanding. It's useful to consider Cancer in relation to its polar opposite side, sign Capricorn. And this is especially significant this year when Capricorn will have a powerful influence on the energetic life of the group of world servers, the group in every nation of those who are in process of reorienting themselves to the higher potentials of all arrays. The Capricorn full moon occurs this year during the festive week of the new group of world servers, beginning with the solstice on December 21st and concluding 7 days later on December 28th. Every 7 years, energies pour into the new group during these 7 days, and occasionally the impact is magnified because the Capricorn full moon falls during the week. While the full moons are an annual cycle of alignments and approaches between the three centers, Shambhala, hierarchy, humanity, these annual lunar cycles also fit within the pulse of a festival week every 7 years. They're not unrelated. Just as the full moons and festival weeks themselves take their place within a wider symphony of events in the esoteric calendar of relationships, such as the 25-year and the 100-year cycles of hierarchical conclaves, or the much broader cycle of transition from the Piscean to the Aquarian age, or the culminating occurrence, the sort of alpha and omega point of the Christ who will initiate the whole new cycle in human history. All these interrelated cycles. So as we approach the peak alignment of the Cancer full moon, we can also have in mind that this links us with the Capricorn full moon in December, and therefore with the festival week. In Cancer, the energies flowing into the new group help to empower and lift the new group's leadership role in shaping the world as a spiritual thing and building a lighted house, partly by a transformation of the way in which the mind and intelligence are used. And in Capricorn, the new group is under the influence of energies that create an environment conducive to initiation, lifting the mind in a quite different way with the seventh ray element that enables the light of life itself, light supernal, to shine through the mind of the new group and into the world of outer activity. Subjectively, the Tibetan relates the seventh ray influence in the Capricornian facilitation of initiation to the overcoming of materialism. Drawing on a seventh ray sense of relationship and the strengthening of the spiritual environment necessary for materialism to be overcome, that's an incredible thought. For materialism to be overcome in the entire species. Not obviously in some idealistic, angelic way, so it'll always be a compromise, but in a way where materialism is no longer the dominant force in our lives, within us and within our communities, our neighbors, our families. drawing on a seventh ray sense of relationship and the strengthening of the spiritual environment necessary for materialism to be overcome, we might imagine the twin aspects in the reorientation of the group of all who seek to be of service to humanity at this time, as if there were two movements, two complementary pulses, two cycles, lifting the mind in Cancer so that intelligence can become more sensitive to the plan, and social, political, and legislative actions can begin to flow from a deeper understanding of what it is to build a lighted house. And this preparing the way for and leading into the light supernal, radiating throughout the group of servers. As the rhythm established cyclically by these two energetic pulses proceeds, through the ongoing annual influence of Cancer and Capricorn full moons, and through the cyclic flow of succeeding festival weeks, we can well imagine how the spiritual life of humanity is in process of being transformed. And we don't need to look at this in some time-bound way, as if there'll be a sudden moment of transformation accompanying a particular full moon or festival week. But it's more a matter of noticing and looking out for the underlying effect in the world of these cyclic flows. Another approach to this Cancer-Capricorn pulse comes when we view these two signs in terms of the relation between incarnated soul and form. In Cancer, it's the soul's sensitivity to form life, driven by the responsibility to redeem matter, that results in incarnation into what is initially an imprisonment in form, but leading to the long learning curve involved in the soul's transformation of the form life so that it can become a fit and lighted home. In Capricorn, this process is reversed. The soul's sensitivity to form leads to crystallization and a breaking up of the prison walls so that liberation from the binding ties of materialism is even possible and can occur. Just as Cancer brings a magnetic, magical light, which guides the soul into the dark place of experience, the magical pull of Capricornian energy upon the returning wheel of expression and of discipleship draws the soul steadily away from form life and experience and constitutes that radiant light which leads the soul in safety to the mountaintop. Hammarskjöld, Dag Hammarskjöld, that second UN Secretary General, can be understood as a disciple called to play a strong role in establishing spiritual principles at the heart of this newly established in his time United Nations. His focus on the guiding principles, loyalties, and responsibilities for international civil servants, the group that he was destined to lead, continued to be a source of inspiration for many dedicated workers within the UN system and within the network of agencies and think tanks surrounding and supporting the United Nations. And behind all this solid work in establishing principles to guide the team of UN workers was his recognition that it's not through outer actions by governments or through treaties and agreements between governments that the direction of the world is truly shaped. For as he says, the world is a spiritual thing, and it's as a spiritual thing that we can influence the development of qualities at the heart of national and international relationships. And yet he also recognized the power that comes When outer efforts in diplomacy or in multilateral development of policies are transparently aligned with and in full respect for the deeper spiritual process that must be followed to truly transform the spirit of international relations. Cancer and Capricorn remind us that as evolution proceeds in us and through all of us, the souls work with form and with sensitivity to the potentialities of form begins to be balanced and complemented by the form's respect for and ultimate alignment with the soul. So we'll work in meditation we'll actually work in meditation for around 30 minutes, and we'll have a period of silence, a longer, more extended silence during the low interlude period, leading into the sounding of the Great Invocation just after the moment of the full moon. The full moon approach to the hierarchy. This time of the keynote. He who faces the light and stands within its radiance is blinded to the issues of the world of men. He passes on the lighted way to the great center of absorption. But he who feels the urge to pass that way, yet loves his brother on the darkened path, revolves upon the pedestal of light and turns the other way. He faces towards the dark, and then the 7 points of light within himself transmit the outward streaming light. And lo, the face of those upon the darkened way receives that light. For them, the way is not so dark. Behind the warriors, twixt the light and dark, blazes the light of hierarchy. Letting in the light. Group fusion. We affirm the fact of group fusion and integration within the heart center of the group of world servers, mediating between hierarchy and humanity. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Alignment. We project a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy of the planet, the planetary heart, the great ashram of Sanat Kumara, and towards the Christ at the heart of hierarchy. And we extend the line of light toward Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. The higher interlude. Hold the contemplative mind open to the extraplanetary energies streaming into Shambhala and radiated through hierarchy. Using the creative imagination, endeavor to see the three planetary centers, Shambhala, hierarchy, humanity, gradually coming into alignment and interplay. Meditation. Reflect on the seed thought from Cancer. For Cancer, I build a lighted house and therein dwell. Precipitation. Using the creative imagination, visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring throughout the planet and becoming anchored on Earth in prepared physical plane centers through which the plan is manifesting. Use the sixfold progression of divine love as the sequence of energy precipitation. Shambhala, hierarchy, the Christ, the group of world servers, men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world, physical centers of distribution. The lower interlude. Refocus the consciousness as a group within the periphery of the great ashram. And together sound the affirmation. In the center of all love I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize the downpouring spiritual inflow released from Shambhala through the hierarchy, streaming into humanity through the prepared channel. And consider how these inpouring energies are establishing the pathway of light for the coming world teacher, the Christ. distribution. As the great invocation is sounded, visualize the outpouring of light and love and power from the spiritual hierarchy through the 5 planetary inlets, irradiating the consciousness of the whole human race. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Om. 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 Thank you, friends. We can hold that alignment. The next new moon meeting is on July 13th, 6 p.m. And the Festival of Leo on July 28th at 6 p.m. Thank you, friends.